older men don't realize this is why younger women smile at them. Dark psychology of attraction, it happens in an elevator, in a grocery line, across a coffee shop table that isn't even yours. A younger woman glances at you, then she smiles, and before the moment even finishes, your mind is already killing it. She's just friendly, it's nothing, I'm imagining things. You've done this so many times, you don't even notice you're doing it anymore. And today I want to show you why that instinct, the one that talks you out of what you just saw, is lying to you. Because there is a real psychological reason younger women smile at older men. It's not politeness, it's not an accident. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what's happening beneath the surface and why so many men spend their whole lives misreading it. Before we go further, and if you've ever caught yourself explaining away a moment like this, hit subscribe now, because what I'm about to break down will change how you interpret every one of them from here on out. Susib on. Let's start with the belief almost every man over 40 carries without realizing it. Attraction has a shelf life. You were taught indirectly that desirability belongs to the young. So when something doesn't fit that story, a smile, a lingering glance, a woman half your age holding eye contact a second too long, your brain doesn't file it as attraction. It files it as an error, something to correct, dismiss, explain away. But here's the uncomfortable question we need to sit with. What if your brain is the one that's wrong? To understand what's really happening, we have to talk about something most men have never been taught to notice: emotional weather. Every person walks into a room carrying a climate. Some men walk in loud, checking phones, scanning faces, adjusting their posture for approval they haven't gotten yet. That's weather in motion, restless, unsettled. Then there's the other kind of man. He sits still, he doesn't perform, he isn't asking the room anything. That stillness isn't boring, it's rare, and rare things get noticed. A younger woman isn't necessarily responding to your face or your age. She's responding to the fact that you're not asking for anything from her. And in a world where almost everyone is asking for something, that absence of hunger reads as something entirely different. Safety. We'll come back to that. Because safety is only the beginning of the story, not the end of it. Quick pause. If this is landing for you, tap subscribe now. I release videos like this every week, breaking down exactly how psychology, attraction, and self-perception intersect as men get older. And most of it is information you were never given anywhere else. Now let's go deeper, because the safety explanation, while true, is still surface level. Here's something almost nobody tells men directly. Confidence isn't the thing being noticed. Resolution is. Younger men are still negotiating who they are. They're auditioning for jobs, for identity, for approval. That negotiation shows up in tiny ways: over-talking, over-explaining, glancing around to see how they're landing. A man who has lived longer has usually, whether he realizes it or not, closed a lot of those negotiations. He knows what he values. He knows what he won't tolerate. He isn't constantly redeciding who he is in real time. That kind of internal quiet is disarming to be around, not because it's dominant, but because it's predictable. And predictability, more than charm, is what actually makes people feel safe enough to be curious about someone. So when she smiles, she isn't necessarily thinking any of this consciously, but her nervous system has already registered it. This person is not in flux. And here's where almost every man gets it wrong. The moment he notices the smile, he tries to solve it. Was that interest? Should I say something? Am I reading too much into this? But the smile was never a question that needed an answer. It was an acknowledgement. And acknowledgements don't require you to do anything with them. They just require you to let them exist. The men who chase meaning out of every glance actually close the moment faster than the ones who simply receive it and move on. Because chasing signals urgency, and urgency is the opposite of the quality that got noticed in the first place. If you've ever felt torn between wanting to do something with a moment like this and knowing you shouldn't overthink it, that tension is exactly what we're unpacking here. Subscribe, because next week's video goes even further into how men rebuild self-trust after years of being told to distrust their own perception. Now here's the part most men resist, because it contradicts everything they were quietly taught. Sometimes it really is attraction, not curiosity, not projection, not politeness dressed up as kindness. Attraction, plain, simple, and real. And the discomfort you feel reading that sentence says more about the story you were handed than about what's actually true. You were taught desirability has an age limit. Nobody ever proved that to you. You just absorbed it the way you absorb most things you never questioned. Attraction doesn't run on a calendar. It runs on clarity. Clarity of self, clarity of values, clarity of presence. And ironically, that clarity tends to sharpen with age, not fade with it. So let's close every loop we opened. That elevator glance, not an accident. A response to stillness in a world addicted to noise. That coffee shop smile? Not politeness. A nervous system registering safety before her thoughts even caught up. And the discomfort you feel when you consider that it might be real attraction? That's not humility. That's an outdated identity still running old software. You're not invisible. You never were. You were simply quiet. And quiet is often the last thing people learn to notice right before they can't stop noticing it. If this video shifted something in how you see these moments, do 3 things right now. Hit like so this reaches more men who need to hear it, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment telling me about a moment like this that you brushed off. I read every one of them. Because once you stop asking why you're being noticed, you simply become the kind of man who is. End.